Tippy time, my damies. Today we're inside the Crucible on one busted ass Warlock build. Warlock population has been dwindling of late, so I wanted to jump into the Crucible and understand why, but instead I came at the other side thinking I've found my new main with this toxic ass build. Now to break this build down, we begin with the aspect Lightning Surge. While sliding, activate our charge melee ability to blink forwards, calling down lightning strikes that jolts targets as you rematerialize. This melee takes full advantage of a lesson Guardians just refuse to learn: don't group up. This melee won't one-hit kill a Guardian with appropriate light and resilience, but catch him in a group and you'll kill them all. My best thus far is a 5-man, but I'm not going to stop with this build until I get a full squad wipe. The more targets there are, the jolt will kill that much easier, but you're going to need to be prepared for the cleanup. Now, most who use the Lightning Surge will use one of two exotics. The Claws of Ahamkara will give us an additional melee charge, so we can use our Lightning Surge at more regular intervals. And the ever popular Ophidian aspects, these will give you increased weapon ready and reload speed, but it's more about the increased slap range, which is the draw. But I would still call the Ophidian aspects the second best exotics to use, as there is the Getaway Artists. Its perk, Dynamic Duo, convert your Arc Grenade into an Arc Soul and become amplified. This is excellent for multiple reasons. First of all, your approach. When you attack, you want to sprint in with these and surge them up, hopefully without the opposite team realizing what you're up to. And because the getaways make us amplified without either getting an ability kill or ionic trace, we now have access to the speed boost simply by consuming our Arc Grenade. Begin sprinting and you'll get that Sonic the Hedgehog gotta go fast speed boost to allow you to attack with more velocity and agility. Secondly, because our Arc Soul is now amplified, it is the perfect cleanup tool to pair with the Lightning Surge and will often find the second victim before you even have the chance to slap them in the face. So our second aspect will be the Arc Soul. This is created when we drop down our Rift, of course. This will help you an awful lot with your weapon duels and keep you with your little Arc buddy full time. But it's this aspect that states, whilst amplified, Arc Souls are supercharged and gain increased fire rate. This takes it from helping you out with that duel to becoming your personal Arc Assassin. I'm using the Healing Rift over the Empowering Rift. They are both great to lane with, but personally I prefer those instant heals. But I try not to chill in it too much, and I'd rather use it as a safe place to return to, bunker down and heal, as most people won't even bother trying to kill somebody in a Rift. They have to hit you twice as much, and by that point they're probably most likely going to be dead. But if I've got a Rift, I'll use a Rift, as more than often than not, I just want that Arc Soul so I can go out and roam and slap up some Guardians. So I tend to leave it in a position where my posse can make good use of it, and then I go up and get some. Our melee for this build will be the Chain Lightning melee. This extended range melee jolts your targets and chains lightning to nearby targets, whilst amplified, it creates additional chains. Now this is nearly as strong as the surge, and I will use it defensively, but the main thing I want from this is the lower cooldown than the ball lightning melee. Same with my grenade option. The flashbang offers a low cooldown at base at 131. I played 8 odd hours whilst filming this vid, and there was only about 3 grenades I threw for blinding purposes. And whilst this is still a strong tactical grenade, I'm purely using it for the cooldown so I can get that amplification. This gives me the increased handling and reload speed, the speed boost for my lightning surge attack, and a more ferocious arc soul that's always got its head on a swivel to help me finish off and find new targets to decimate. The first of our fragments will be the Spark of Recharge. Whilst critically wounded, your melee and grenade energy regen more quickly. This fragment is vital to the playability of this build, as the more we have Amplify up and running, the better this build plays. Most of our initial assaults begin by consuming our grenade, then surging in, cleaning up with the arc souls and a little bit of gunplay. So to make this as repeatable as possible, Spark of Recharge will help push those charge times. I'm already running 100 strength and 100 discipline, so both these abilities have a base cooldown of 35 seconds, but given the right circumstances, I can have these back in between 10 to 20 odd seconds. Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. On paper it says it's 30% damage reduction. In practice I'm not sure how accurate those numbers are, but I do feel a difference if we don't have it. Its primary function is actually just to make your balls double in size, that way you can just run at a group of guardians with all the confidence of victory in your name. Spark of Feedback, because if you aren't going to win that fight, 3 lives for 1 is never a bad option. Spark of Focus was of huge importance to my build. After sprinting for a short time, your class ability energy regeneration is increased. Any Warlock main is going to want to have access to their Rift as often as possible, and with only 30, that's right, 30 recovery, you can still have your Rift back in around 15 odd seconds. As by this build's very nature, we are always running around full tits, so we have that Rift back before we know it. Now, for a lot of you Warlock mains out there, you probably couldn't get your stats this low even if you wanted to, and it's not required, but I chose to run 100 Resilience, Strength, and Discipline. It worked for me with great success, but don't fret, play it the way you are going to. These are just ideas on stats. Just quickly, my damies, before we get into the weapons and mods, I just wanted to remind you, if you are enjoying the content, please hit that thumbs and ring that bell for all future content. Anyway, turning to my super, we are using the Storm Trance. And who doesn't love blinking around the map, zapping peeps like Palpatine? That Landfall perk is just great, with a destructive area of attack. A lot of you Guardians like to float 100 miles up and drop that storm down, which does work and is very destructive, but you do want to be careful, as you might fall victim to a sniper, scout, or linear from afar. I've been using it with the Lightning Surge, allowing me to close the gap, get in amongst them, and then get them all jolted, pop, and clean up. Turn into my guns. Trust me, my damage, you want to try the Peace Bond. Now this thing has been an amazing little sidearm for quite some time now, but due to recent sidearm buffs, it is now a top pick for my kinetic slot. I run mine with full auto mod this season, but on season 19 this will be an option in the menu, so I'll either run targeting or freehand. Range masterwork and accurized rounds give it a decent level of range. Being a console player, I'm going to need a bit of stability, so I went for chambered compensator for my barrel, so I can rock around at 90 stability and 100 recoil direction. Killing Wind is absolutely mega on this thing. Final blows grant increased mobility, weapon range, and handling for a short duration. This is an amazing dueling weapon and does an excellent job at cleaning up kills after a lightning surge attack. Now there are many great perks in the final column, but I've opted to go for Demolitionist. Kills with this weapon generate grenade energy, and being that so much of our build is based on consuming our grenades to get into slap bites, Demolitionist will help shorten that cooldown period for us even more. activating your grenade ability, and yes, this does include when you consume your grenade, turning it into an arc soul, reloads the weapon. The origin trait Skulking Wolf is crazy good both inside of 6s and 3s, whilst at low health, Guardian Final Blows with your weapon grant enhanced radar and remove you from your attacker's radar. This gives you a short reprieve to reassess the situation before diving back into the fray, and has saved my bacon more times than I care to count. My favourite weapon to use inside the Crucible would be the last word, and now this fills this slot quite easily in the current sandbox. In the energy slot, I have been using the 3rd Axiom Pulse Rifle. I know, right? You probably dismantled 100 of these things thinking they were hot garbage, and you were none the wiser. Now, as most of you probably know, the 390 Pulse Rifle archetype has recently been buffed. I won't go too deeply into this except to say that they are now more stable, hit harder, and have a relaxed TTK. Now, this archetype has risen in popularity as with any damage perk, or class perk like Radiant, or armor perk like a Gryfalcon's. Your adaptives can now 2-burst crit kill a Guardian. This is pretty much the same damage as your high impact pulses like the Messenger, however these are a lot more comfortable to use. It might not get you the quickest kill, but it's always good at drilling holes into Guardians' bodies, and this means it's great for team shooting inside of 6s. I would recommend Targeting Adjuster, Stability Masterwork, Arrowhead Break, and Played Magwell. This gives me 70 stability and 100 recoil direction, so she's pretty decent for dueling. Slideshot not only partially reloads the mag, but also temporarily boosts range and stability. And lastly, being I'm an Arc Warlock, I am running Elemental Capacitor, which gives me a whopping plus 50 handling. This is going to max out the handling at a whopping 100. All of these things combined make for one hell of a sleeper, and something you do not want to underestimate. For my mods, on my helmet I'll be double stacking Pulse Rifle targeting. Now, together with the Targeting Adjuster, the 3rd Axiom already has 70 aim assist, but these will still help, particularly when shooting down range. We'll be double stacking melee kickstarters. This will refund 30% of your melee energy after you've used your Lightning Surge. This honestly goes a long way to looping your melees consistently, and because of the weapon selection we're using, we're consistently having the amplified buff and didn't really require handling and reload mods. We're double stacking Unflinching Pulse Rifle aim on our chest piece. This will definitely pay dividends in your duels. Our 3rd Axiom does have 70 stability, but these mods will just help push that a little bit further so you can laser heads. I'm using the Powerful Friends mod. This is purely to get that plus 20 to my mobility stat, as without it, when you're caught in a little gun battle strapping left and right, you might feel as if you're wearing rocks with shoes, but your low mobility stats generally won't be an issue as you'll have amplified active. The Radiant Light mod will similarly give us a stat boost of 20 points strength, allowing us to maximize the Lightning Surge melee as much as possible. This is also made all the much easier by our Outreach mod. We will be double stacking these. They reduce your melee cooldown when using your class ability, which together with the melee kickstart can feed me a full melee charge in 10 seconds flat. We've touched on stats loosely throughout this video, but I would go max with discipline and strength, following resilience and recovery, mobility, and intellect at the tail end. This time last week I wasn't a Warlock main. Now I've got some serious questions to ask myself. But one thing is for certain, Arc 3.0 has really given us something quite unique here. Not only did this build destroy in Control and Iron Banner, it felt more than comfortable inside of the Trials of Osiris, where meta reigns supreme, nabbing me a flawless on one of my least favourite maps. The Lightning Surge is deadly, and I'm not going to put this build down until I get that team wipe. Getaways give us those easy amps which not only make our drone more awesome but also make gunplay even more enjoyable. Anyway, my damies, I hope you did enjoy this build. I've left a dim in the description down below. Hit that thumbs if you liked it. Don't forget to sub and ring that bell for all the latest videos. If you've got any questions or suggestions, feel free to leave a comment down below. But until next time, tippy tie, my damies. What a tie.